Welcome back, amazing listeners. Thank you for returning for another episode of Building Your Health Esteem. My name is Jerome Craig, I'm your host, and today's episode is titled Building and Burning. Stay tuned. So today's topic is a topic that we as a society are seemingly consumed with. We cannot open a newspaper or click on a web page without seeing something about food, whether it's going to kill us or make us live to 120, or some other ridiculous claim about a food being a sinner or a saint, good or bad for you. And I want to just reframe this whole issue. And so I like to talk about sustenance. And I use that word very specifically because sustenance is defined as something that builds or strengthens, something you consume that builds or strengthens you. It's very different than just talking about diet or nutrition. And it's an area that is fraught with debate and argument, and I feel like the big reason this has happened is that we've just moved away from nature. We are no longer eating things that are just available to us, provided by nature. We're eating food-like substances provided to us, generated from an industrial plant instead of natural plants and animals that surround us. And it's distressing. I think it really is. So I want to address a few things here to hopefully make you think about food in a different way. Okay, so coming back to diet. Diet is typically something we do on a habitual basis. Oftentimes it is defined these days as a restrictive pattern, whether you are cutting something out of your diet, like I'm a vegan or I'm a pescatarian or I'm a carnivore or whatever. And the other thing is dieting and restriction of calories, as in to lose weight. Now, people kind of get married to this idea of diet, which I think is a problem because all too often in my practice, I'll see people coming in struggling with foods, sensitivities, digestive issues, whatever, and they eat a very, very certain way that is obviously not serving them because here they are looking for help. And they've become married to this idea of how things need to be. And then, of course, they'll say something like, well, I was doing really well, but then I cheated on my diet. Just kind of reinforcing that idea that they're married to something. I love there's an internet meme out there, it says, cheating on your diet is like cheating on a screwdriver. They're both just tools to get you where you need to be. So think about things like that. Now, I don't expect other people to do what I do, but I definitely think about diet as a seasonal approach. Obviously, summer provides very, very different things than winter does. And I'm not weird about it. I'm not like super strict, but really buying a tomato in the store in the middle of winter, it tastes awful. So I really don't eat tomatoes in the winter because I grow them in the summer and they're delicious. And what that does is it allows my body to take a break from certain foods where I'm not eating them all the time. I believe this is how people develop sensitivities. We eat the same thing all the time. Salads aren't the best at this time of year. Where's lettuce being grown in the middle of winter for the Pacific Northwest? It's like Mexico or somewhere. And it's being transported up here for the nutritional value of a paper towel, basically. It's just a good transport for other flavors and fats. So you don't have to stay eating the same way all year long. You don't have to eat 9 servings of this and 5 servings of that to maintain your health. humans are not that fragile. We're pretty adaptable. So my point there is don't focus so much on diet and start thinking more about sustenance. Now let's touch on nutrition briefly. Nutrition is a little different than diet. It's a supposed science, nutritional sciences, where they look at certain mechanistic things that happen in the human body and we make some guesses about certain nutrients and how they affect people. And we have a problem with this science. It's fraught with issues. We have all these controls that we'd like to use in studying mice in a lab because we can control that environment, but we cannot lock humans in cages. And so oftentimes we rely on animal models to extrapolate this information and make it seem like it is going to be true for all 7+ billion people on the planet. Now, there's a huge issue here, and that is most studies aren't interventional. They don't say, well, we're going to feed you this, and this is the outcome that we are going to look at, and so we're going to say this kind of diet is best for you. There are metabolic ward studies that are usually about 2 weeks long because they cost so much money, and you can't really lock up humans longer than that. So there's problems with nutrition, and we'll get back to it in future episodes, but I want to leave you with this thought about nutrition. Science can only know what science is paid to know. So whenever you see a headline, think about who would fund this, why would they fund it, and what should we really, really take away from it? Is it a human trial? Probably not. And then move on, because no one is ever going to study you. That is up to you. So we've got to watch out for nutrition studies. You've got to watch out for headlines and think about food as sustenance. So I'm inviting you to think about what happens when food goes into your mouth. Is it going to build me, or is it going to fuel me? And this is where we talk about building and burning. So the building blocks of your physical structure are also the building blocks of your chemical structure and your chemical output, your hormones, your neurotransmitters, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel inflamed. A lot of that comes from what goes in your mouth. And then what you burn is what gives you energy. We burn our fats, we burn our carbs to fuel us through the day, to fuel our brain, to give us mental fortitude, all of that kind of stuff. So sit down with your food and think, is this nourishing me? Is this making my life better? And you don't have to be weird about it, but start to make it a practice and see what happens with the decisions you start to make around what you put in your mouth. So until next time, my friends, feed your soul, feed your body, really think about your sustenance, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.